I think that after you've used the RC-300 for a while, you will discover a set of features and functions that you like to use all the time. So every time you start a new song in a new memory location, you need to set up those features and functions. So today I'd like to make some suggestions on how you can create a template or a series of templates to make that process much quicker and also to make your setups much more consistent. First, let's start by selecting an empty memory location. Let's just pick a nice even number, let's say memory location 30, which is empty. And then we will create a template in this location and name it as template 1. So to name it, we press the memory edit button 3 times. It puts us into the editing mode, and then we will enter the name here. Now this is the way I might set up my system, but these are just suggestions to give you some examples. I'm going to start over here with the memory edit and come up here and look at some of the features under these 3 channels. If I go channel 1, 2, 3, you can also select channel 1, 2, 3 up here and see what the settings are for each one of those channels. It makes it real quick and easy. So we're going to come up here to the feature of stop mode immediate. I'm probably going to use that most of the time. On most of my songs I'll leave that like that. Play level 100, but over here record level I'm going to set to 80. So I'm going to reduce my record level so when I play it back it's not as loud. This is just from experience. Okay, so that's track 3. Let me come over to track 1, turn that down to 80, and track 2, turn that down to 80. So now we have our record levels on track 1, 2, and 3 set to 80. That is going to make them play back a little bit lower. It's equivalent, I'm going to back up 1 space here to play level. It's equivalent to setting your play level down, but what it does is it actually takes care of the problem before you play it back. It actually records it at a lower level. Alright, so let's go. Loop sync on is going to be on most of the time, so I'll leave that. All of these other features I'm just going to leave in default. So I exit this and I write those variables. Now simply moving from left to right, the next thing to come along here is our rhythm. First thing I want to do is I want to set the rhythm volume, because usually I use about an 80. So set it on 80. Right there. I'm not going to select a drum type or a tempo, because that always changes from song to song. But one thing I do want is under the edit menu here, I'm going to come over and I'm going to set this record count on for 1 measure, because I always use that record count on every song I do. So why set it every time? Play count, no. Stop, off, no. Rhythm level is, I thought I'd set it to 80, but it says 78. So let me set it to 80. And then the rest is going to be default. Okay? I write that. Now comes the part that's the most time consuming. This is going to save you the most time every time you set up, and that is to configure these 2 pedals. I'm going to configure this rocker pedal here as a volume pedal, and I'm going to configure this pedal as an effects pedal to turn off and on an effect. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up this loop effects pedal here. Going to come up to memory edit and press it twice, once, twice, and it says assign 1 switch on. Then we go to the next position and it says effect control. We're going to turn the knob to the right and we're going to change that to the target being loop FX on off. So this pedal over here is going to turn the loops effects off and on. Okay, the next is going to be the target minimum is off, that's what we want, and the target maximum is on. The reason is because this is not doing volume, it's just turning it off and on. Okay, the next thing we want is what is going to cause this to happen, because assign 1 doesn't say which pedal. It can be an external pedal, it can be in any of these pedals. So what we have to do is assign a pedal to assign 1. Right now it's the expression pedal, which is this. We don't want that, we want this. So we need to find, turn to the right, the loop effects pedal, which is this. So that's correct. The mode needs to be toggle rather than momentary. Right now it's set on momentary as a default. That means when we press this down, that the effect will be on. When we release it, the effect will be off. What we want is we want to click down on this and be able to take our foot off of it and have the effect to stay on. So we want to change from momentary to toggle. Okay? Now we have set up this pedal to control the effects. We don't have an effect selected yet, but we've got this control set up to whatever the default effect is right now. And we'll set up the effect in just a minute. So exit, right, right. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up this volume pedal here, or this expression pedal, as a volume pedal. Now we could have stayed where we were and just stepped on to the next assignment, because that's where it is. I'll press this once, twice. This is what we just did. We just set up the effects. And then we, remember the last selection we made was a toggle. Now we're on to assign to. We want the assign to switch on. Yes, it's going to be active. It's defaulted to active, but it's not acting as a volume pedal yet. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to have memory level. That's exactly what we want. We want the target to be a minimum of 0 and a maximum of whatever we like. Now I use 50. You just have to, again, experiment with this and find a setting that you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this volume pedal go from 0 and full on it's going to be 50. That just works out right for me. Okay, then we're going to go over here to expression 2 pedal. That's the wrong pedal. We want this pedal. This is the expression 1 pedal. So let's turn this back to all the way to the left, and it's expression 1 pedal. Now it says momentary, and that's the correct setting for this. Even though this is not really momentary, it's not toggle either. So it turns out that momentary is what works as a gradual volume pedal for this. So now we finished with setting up both of these 2 pedals. So now we want to write this, right. So now we've got the big pedal set up as a volume pedal and the little pedal here set up to turn the effects off and on, but what we need is to select the effect that we want to turn off and on. So we come down here to the loop effects edit button, press that, and it says what is the target main output total. Now what that means is that when we press this button here, this pedal, it would take whatever is playing out of the memory locations and run it through that effect. That's not what I want. What I want is for this to remain unfazed, and when I kick this in I want to change the effect that's being played live with my guitar. So what I need to do then, I'm going to turn this to all the way to the left, and I'm going to assign it to input. Now this effect is going to be the input to work on the input, which is my guitar. Next location is what kind of effect. Now I like to use a delay. These effects are much better than the RC-30, but some of them are still kind of unusable. Some of them are pretty decent. I like the delay and the chorus and the flanger. So I'm going to set this up as a delay, so when I kick this in I can play a lead part with a little bit of a delay, which gives it a little bit of a distinction over the backing track that I've already recorded. So this is the defaults transpose. What we want is other. Now we go to the next step, and the type is delay. Now we set up the delay. I like it to pan. I use stereo amps and I like it to pan, so I'll leave that. Here you can set up the delay time and you can just experiment with this. I like to set it up as a half note. The feedback I will leave at 20, and I will set the level, I will leave that at 70. So those are the default settings, and it turns out that that works pretty well. So now those are all the settings. You notice that this has changed to other down here from modulate or from transpose, the default. So now we're set up to when we press this pedal, we're going to get a delay on the guitar. So let's write that to memory. So now we've set up everything the way we like it. We've set up our memory locations to record at a level of 80. We've set up our count in. We've named the template. We have set up our two pedals over here, this one to be a volume pedal and this one to be an effects pedal. By the way, the volume pedal only works on the playback. It does not work on your live guitar, but you can adjust the volume of your playing to match the volume of the playback. So just so you don't think something was wrong. And then once we've set this up to kick in the effects, we need to select an effect, and we've done that by selecting a delay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to copy this to another template. So if I write to 30, I know that 31 is empty. Actually, if it was not empty, let me just give you an example. If I step down here to something, it will tell you if you've already got something there. So I know 31's empty, and this verifies that yes, it is empty. So I'm going to I'm going to copy 30 to 31. It'll just make a duplicate of it. Okay. So now we're in 31. It says template 1 empty, and 30 says template 1 empty. What I'm going to do with template 1 on 31 is I'm going to change this to template 2. Come over here. Press this button 3 times. That's the shortcut. Straight to your name. Change that to 2, write that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change template 2 a little bit from template 1. I am going to define as an effect for template 2. I'm going to come down here in the loop effects edit. Yet my input is still my guitar, but I want a category of modulation, and flanger is pretty good. But I am going to pick up a chorus. There's a chorus. Okay, and I have played around with this a little bit. And the rate of 40, I will leave that as a default. The depth of 50, leave that as a default, and the level of 100. So all of those seem to have worked out pretty well. But you see, now I've picked up a different effect for template 2 that's going to kick in when I press that effects pedal. If I write that. Okay, so now I have 2 templates. They're exactly the same, except this one has a delay as an effect, this one has the chorus as an effect. So if I want to start a new song, what I do is I come to one of these templates, whichever one I want, and I say write to, and I pick whatever new location. Let's say I want to write to location 40. So now I basically copying this to 40. See, now it automatically goes to 40. Then the first thing you want to do is you want to click 3 times on memory edit, come up here and change the name to your new song, and now you've got your template set up for your song and saved you all that time and effort. Now you can always go back and tweak your templates. You can always create new templates that are variations, and you can name them like template delay, template chorus, or however you want. The nice thing about this, you have plenty of space to name it descriptively so that you know exactly what that template is. But what's nice is that you don't forget to set up some little effect over here on your pedal or something, which is so easy to do, and also it saves you a whole lot of time. So I hope this is useful to you, and we'll see you next time. Take care.